It's sales learning time. It's sales learning time. And I know you're gonna hate it, but you're gonna love it by the end. What are we gonna learn today? Building rapport. Today what I'm gonna go through is about 6 key kind of components to building rapport. Everything I'm going through is just obviously very much the top line of what I teach. So I run a sales retreat about 3 or 4 times a year. We've got our last one for the year coming up in November, and we go up to Kinglake into the Yarra Valley of Victoria. We spend 3 days up there and we get a really amazing script, and think of it more like a kind of flexible framework, script framework for you to use for the product and services that you're selling. We spend 2 days creating that script tailored to your exact ideal client. And then on the last day, we actually, if you've got leads, we get on the phone and we call those leads and I coach you live on how to make sales. I've run maybe 3 or 4 of these retreats now. I've had probably 40 or so people come through. We only take 10 at a time. It's a very small, intimate, boutique experience. We do we have lots of food and wine and nice things like that. I was going to show you guys some of the images from what we get up to. Oh, hang on. So yeah. Cancel actually selecting images and show you some of the fun that we have. So these are my beautiful, we get up there and we have bonfires, we do walking, we do all sorts of fun things. That's Gracie making sales calls, we eat scones, we go bushwalking. It was someone's birthday. So it's a beautiful house that we go and stay in, and we go deep into actually role-playing, building rapport with someone. So, you know, all of that shit that you just feel so awkward doing sometimes, we break through all of that. Anyway, so what I'm teaching you this week is the top line of what we're going to be going much, much deeper into at the retreat, having loads of opportunity to rehearse with each other, loads of opportunity to build your own very unique script that is your fallback, so that in December, when everyone's already got their wallets out because it's Christmas, right, and they're all preparing for 2020, what, like a great year, 2020, it should be everyone's year in 2020, then we're going to have you on the phones making sales, selling your things, selling your photographic packages, selling your programs, selling your, you know, if you've got bricks and mortar business and you just want to do more sales through the door, all of that sort of stuff, understanding your sales framework, so that, you know, and as I said yesterday, this whole AIDA framework we talked about, attention, interest, desire, action, which is what I'm telling you about this week, is really the basis and backbone, like the kind of skeleton to your entire marketing strategy, really, like the way you speak on organic social media, the way you speak in paid traffic ads, the way you speak in conversations, in networking events, or you know, in sales calls, on phone, whatever. That backbone that we kind of create at that retreat is really almost it's gonna help you kind of build out your own intellectual property. Like, it's so fucking powerful. It's a seriously really great retreat. So when you're building rapport with people, I want you now to just let's take a real life example. So you've been thrown into a dinner party. You're sitting, you've got some kind of cocktails that you're having and nibblies and whatever, and you don't know anyone there, right? There's 10, 12 people in this, you know, new friend of yours house, and you've got to spend the night with these people and actually kind of get into rapport with them and start to learn about them. Now, I get that in that situation you guys are kind of trapped. It's not like a phone call where you can hang up and run away, right? So there's you know, we're going to kind of push through this together. But I just want you to think naturally about what you already do to build rapport in that situation. Who wants to type in what you would do if you're standing there having a sneaky little hors d'oeuvre and a glass of champagne with somebody? What would you do to the person standing right next to you? What's the first thing that you would do to have to spark up a conversation? What I find that a lot of people do in the first few minutes of any kind of sales call to somebody that they've kind of called out of the blue, say, to have a chat, is, you know, and sometimes these people have said, yes, I definitely want to call, and they're expecting a call, right? And then other times you might be calling people that have just been referred, someone such and such said that I should give you a call because kind of situation, or you might have run some Facebook ads, or you might have been chatting to someone on Messenger that seems like a kind of, you know, warmish lead, and you want to jump on the phone to them. So they've given you some sort of permission, but, you know, maybe not a whole lot, you know, and you are going to have to quickly build rapport. Then great. Oh, good people. Okay, so get them talking, show an interest in them, ask questions. Excellent. Introduce yourself, comment on something I noticed about them. Fantastic. Good. So finding a point of reference, Stacey. Excellent. Kate, asking questions, of course. Thank you for pointing out the obvious, because it is actually, you know, a lot of the time, this is what I hear people do. They get straight on the phone and they start talking all about themselves. They don't ask anything about the situation of the other person on the other end of the phone. So yeah, you want to make sure that you're asking the right questions. You want to have a point of reference to get them talking. So often when we create lead generation funnels for people in our 8-week accelerator course or our mentorship program, we help you create a download, like a piece of content that we give people, that's basically worded well, and then the ads worded well, that really we know that that person's putting their hand up and saying, I'm in your target market, I am your ideal client, right? Because of the way we word the copy in there. So when I get Sarah to do phone calls for me, and when I jump on the call myself, that's the first thing I say is like, hey, Stacey. Is that you, Stacey Beveridge? Yes, it is. Hey, Stacey, I noticed last night you were probably, you know, you could have been asleep. It was like 11 o'clock, I don't know what time, but you downloaded this thing off Facebook that says that you need some help with sales conversations. So how are you going with your sales? Is it tricky? Is that where you're at right now? Yes. Stacey will say yes, because she downloaded the thing. Or she might say, I don't know, I don't even remember doing that. So the point is, if she doesn't remember doing it, it doesn't matter. We're already on the phone, right? Don't get hung up on the fucking detail about whether she did or she didn't download it, or whether you were right or wrong about that, or whether you magically scoured her fucking email address from some space on the interwebs, on the dark web, you know, just to give her a call and annoy her at 6 p.m. on a Friday night. You know, that's not what you're doing. You know that. You know you're of value. You know you're in the energy of, I'm ringing to be of service to you today. I'm going to have this conversation with you, you know. So I'm teaching you guys from the perspective of the worst case scenario. You've got a Facebook name, email address, and phone number of someone you've never met before, and you're trying to build rapport with them, and they don't know you from a bar of soap, right? Because anything else beyond that is going to be a warmer market, I'm guessing, like a referral from a friend or whatever is going to be easier to build rapport than this. So I'm doing the worst case scenario here with you. So if Stacey gets all hung up about whether she did or didn't download the thing, I wouldn't even worry. I'd just go, oh, look, anyway, it doesn't matter. You know, we all opt in for a million different things. So Stacey, anyway, how are you going with your sales? Is it tricky at the moment? Yes, it is. It is tricky. Great, cool. Next question. So now I've got a point of reference. It was my download, right? Just like Stacey said, introduce myself, comment on something I noticed about them. Something I noticed about you was that you downloaded this thing. That must mean that that's what you're having trouble with this, right? Are you having trouble with that? Ask questions. Cool. So what is it about you're having trouble with? Ask more questions, more questions, more questions. Now, I've got a whole question framework system that I can teach you, which I will teach you at the retreat if you come and join us at the retreat. And that is very finely engineered backwards from the objections that you're likely to get to the sale, to the program or the offer that you make, the benefits and all of the things about the program and offer that you make. So all of the finely tuned questions come from your very unique situation that we would work through with you at the retreat, so that you're asking the right questions, because the questions that you're asking in the first 5, 10, 15 minutes of this call are going to set you up for whether they are, well, first of all, they're going to filter whether they are or aren't in your target market, and whether you should or shouldn't actually try and, you know, propose working together with them. And the second thing is that when they start throwing a whole bunch of objections, like true objections to you at the end, like, how do I trust you? What's, you know, how much money is it? I don't know if I've got enough money, all that sort of stuff. You're going to want to have unearthed all of those, that fodder, up front, so you don't sound pushy at the end, you know, because that's one surefire way of sounding pushy at the end, if you haven't actually got the actual evidence to support that your theory that they do actually want help with this. So questions are really important. What I also want to talk about in relation to the energy, or kind of expand out that conversation, is first of all, you've got to really own your own shit. Like, stop oh my God, I'm getting triggered, like stop and feel it and go, oh my God, getting triggered, and be okay to allow space. Like just shut up, you know, for a second. Silence is golden, as we know. You don't have to bulldoze through. You don't have to keep, you know, push. You can go back into a kind of energy and just give it some space for a second. Give yourself time to think. Give them something to do or think about while you give yourself time to think and regroup and go, okay, well, that was interesting that's triggered them. It's also triggered me. Okay. So then what I would do in that situation is own the fact that you've been triggered. Like, oh my God, do you know what? Like when you just said that you've done heaps of sales training and it's all been a bunch of bullshit before, I have to admit that's actually kind of triggered me a little bit. I just say, yeah. Because, you know, the truth is I don't often feel very comfortable about the industry that I work in, marketing and sales, right? It's like every second person I know has been ripped off by a marketing or sales coach. So it's really actually quite tricky for me to get on the phone and even have this conversation with you. So suddenly now I've made myself human, right? Rapport. I've built rapport because I'm just like you. I'm struggling with this too. This has actually taken something for me to pick up the phone and call you. I've never actually called someone out of the blue before. Thanks so much for having this conversation with me. You know, so you know when you're kind of like going like that, like going down your path, you know, sticking to your script. Sometimes it's okay to go, you know, and go, oh, hang on a second. I want to go this way for a minute. So that idea of showing, you know, owning your own shit, showing your belly, owning up if you feel scared, confronted, triggered, whatever, but without sounding like a victim about it, of course. Like you're the empowered, you know, coach or expert that's on the phone helping them through their stuff. So you don't want to start pouring your own crap in there. But being really honest and vulnerable is super, super powerful. And that kind of ties into this idea of also calling out the elephant in the room. Like if you can feel that they're using kind of abrasive language or defensive tone of voice and things like that in this first couple of minutes, then just call it out. Just say, hey, you know, I've been chatting to you for 5 or so minutes now, and I feel like I'm you know, like I called you because I really just wanted to see if there was some way I could help you, generously give of my knowledge to you. And I feel like you're being a little bit kind of holding back a little bit. Is it something that I've said, or is what's going on for you? So I wouldn't feed them objections. I wouldn't say is because now's not a good time or whatever. Just allow the space for them to bubble up with what's going on, because you might get straight down to the kernel of it. You know what? They might say, I've struggled with my marketing for so long now that I'm almost ready to give up my business, you know, and bang, there we are, straight to the heart of it. So again, give it space, allow the space, call out the elephant in the room. This comes down to being a fearless leader on these calls. That's what sales calls are. Being fearless, being brave and courageous, owning your own stuff, vulnerability, and being human, you know. At the sales retreat, we do a lot of work around this stuff because it is tricky. It is tricky. And anything less than just being super courageous is really not going to get you that rapport that you need in order to get them to the point where they will accept help from you, even if they need it, right? So the rapport component is really, really important. And when it's hard for you to value yourself, I'm gonna teach you some energies that help you value yourself, like help you kind of method act valuing yourself until you do actually value yourself. Because we all know that sometimes to get an alteration in our trajectory of where we're going, we have to kind of behave like someone we actually don't feel like we are until those clothes start to fit, and then all of a sudden, like, boom, man, I am that person, you know. It's certainly what I did in order to get myself a fairly incredible apartment that looks out over the city here like this. I just had to kind of, I mean, I knew I was of value, right? Oh, there's my washing. Just scan that back over this way. But, you know, I really did. Like, I was broke as. I was supporting my husband at a startup business. I just had a child. I really, really didn't have very much money about 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago now. Actually, how old are you? 8. Yeah, more like 7 years ago now. Like, I was on the floor, bawling my eyes out. Just like we were surviving on maybe 40,000 Australian dollars combined that year, paying rent of about 20, $5,000. I don't even know. I just don't know how we survived. I'm an amazing budgeter. I know that much. And when I went away and learnt sales, it was because I knew that was the one thing that was holding me back. It was just the most empowered freedom I've ever had. Even though I was someone who could generate leads, I had a seemingly successful business, learning sales and actually being able to have really powerful conversations and learn how to behave like someone who was a leader before I probably actually felt like I was a leader, was just like, it took me to the next level. It was what took me from kind of making 50 grand a year to making 50 grand in a month, you know. There's a couple of things that are also in that first couple of minutes that you want to get them to say yes as often as you can, and you want to use their name as often as you can. People love the sound of their own name, and they also, it makes them feel like that you care, because you do, and getting them to say yes is kind of psychological kind of thing of like them getting into feeling like it's not hard to say yes at the end of the call, where they're actually going to put down some money. So again, getting as many yeses, asking questions that get a yes as the answer in the first couple of minutes is also really, really important. Now I had up here, like, what's your hook if now isn't the right time? So often people will interrupt you and kind of say, you know, now's really not the right time, even if they are kind of building rapport with you. So I would love you to have a kind of a bit of a hook kind of prepared for if they chuck you off the phone call that would make them want to get back on another phone call with you. Again, when we're on the sales retreat, if you come on the sales retreat with us, and that would be something that's helpful for you, then you know, that's the sort of stuff that we're going to map out, a really great one that makes people get back on the phone to you, because it is hard to get people on the phone at all, let alone back on the phone after you've had 10 minutes with them, you know. So getting kind of some wording around the risk reversal for you, and a way to get them to continue to say yes, and a way to handle the specific objections that they're going to throw at you about your specific product or service that you're offering, are going to be really, really important in getting them kind of powerfully through a good quality conversation that's going to end in either a really powerful yes or a really powerful no. This is just not right for me, you know, and you'll know the actual truth of whether it is or isn't right for you, because you will have asked all the right questions, and chances are you'll get to the point where you're like, well, this isn't actually right for me either. This is not going to be a great client, you know. Really, really amazing place to be in is when you can turn clients down because you know that they don't fit in your tribe. If you are interested in learning more about the sales retreat that we're running in November, and I'll show you a few more photos of some of the fun that we've had up there. Woo-wee. There's a whole bunch of testimonials on the website. Oh, look, we even roasted chestnuts. We go down to, where is it? We go down to this little cabin in the bush in the morning for a cup of tea, and we go for a bit of a walk. We are actually learning sales the whole time, believe it or not. It might not look like that, but we are. There's, that's Fitzy, the sheepdog. He's super beautiful. These guys are kind of role playing. It's a bit of a laugh. Actually, let me show you that video for a second. It's pretty funny. Hang on, can you hear it?
Okay. Rude. Oh, hi, this is Harry.
No, it's not fucking Harry.
So we had a bit of fun. We did actually do some really good coaching after that. That was just fun for a little bit. So the whole thing is a really great 3 days together, and really, really powerful start to your 2020 and getting some you know, really busting through your own crap around sales. God, it's a powerful thing to do. I can really, really assure you of that. Can't wait to see you. Let me know if this was all really helpful for you, and look forward to your feedback. Mwah! Pleasure to see you all again. Bye-bye.